Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online video with me, Sherman. Today we're going to be talking about the patch notes 3.2.3. We're also going to be talking about the release date, which they have announced now for Clockwork City, which is October 23rd for PC and Mac, and November 7th for PS4 and Xbox One. This will be free to ESO members. It's going to be purchased for 2,000 crowns in the game store, and if you want to get the collector's bundle, you can get it for 4,000 crowns in the game store. I called this. I said 5 weeks. Exactly 5 weeks after PTS started. And here we are. We have the official release date as the 23rd. Okay. So not a whole lot changed with this PTS, just to let you guys know. The Warden did get a new change to its Feral Guardian, the Bear Companion. They upgraded its health to 25,000 from 20k. Isn't going to change a whole lot. 5k health is, it's like air to these things. I mean, it's not gonna make their survivability last longer. This CC immunity they added last week is a lot better than this 2k or 5k health they added this week. If they were to upgrade this, no offense, up to like 29,000, I would say yeah, then I would say the bear is definitely going to be something that's going to be worthwhile. 25k, not so much, because all you have to do is kill the person controlling the bear in PvP, and that bear is gone anyways. Focus the player, not the pet. That's the secret. Really, like I said, not a big deal. Moving on down here, we're gonna just skip through a lot of this stuff. They did do some general changes to the Asylum Sanctorium trial, and a lot of these changes are just fixes. Not a whole lot of it is gonna be a major change. This one here, St. Holmes, or St. Films, the patron of the Saint of Butchers or whatever, is now rightfully equipped with an axe and a dagger, so that means his DPS might change. If it does, definitely going to make him a lot stronger, a lot harder to fight. And if you haven't done this mini trial on PTS, it's not one that's you jump into and think that you can beat when you have all three, you're fighting all three. Because when you fight all three, St. Olms is up the whole time. He's the big boss. St. Films and the other one are only up temporarily in the fight, so it kind of throws things off. Or they're in the fight, but they're up through the whole entire fight. You can't kill them. You can knock them down for a certain amount of time, but you have to do that consistently. And unless you can focus St. Olms down fast enough, the two other things make it really pretty much a pain. So moving on, Dragon Knight got some changes. The reflective scales, they increased the duration of this ability, and it's morphs to 6 seconds from 4 seconds. This is a nice change because it does do what they say here. It says it matches crystallized shield and other damage shields, and they're right, it does. It mimics them. It's still kind of a costly spell to use versus other things that you can use, such as the Sword and Boards ability, which is the same thing pretty much. It gives you a 6-second damage shield from magic attacks and ranged attacks. This just gives you a 6-second thing of the same thing, but it costs you magicka. So not saying that it's a bad change, it's a good change. Earth and Heart, they petrify. This ability and its morphs can no longer be cast on a crowd control immune enemy. Well, okay. Like it would do any good to cast it on it anyways. Dark Magic, Defensive Ruin, this applies, okay, same thing as, no, well, one of them, the Ruin Prison, is the same as what they did to Petrify. But this one here, the buff applied by this morph will no longer be consumed when you are attacked by a crowd control immune enemy. Alrighty. The Templar, I'm not going to go over, like, the classes where I see them in the game, by the way. No, you hear too much that this class is horrible, this class is horrible, this class is horrible at this, and this role. But yet, people are playing them as all different kinds of roles all the time. And just like somebody said, oh, the Warden will never be a true Magicka DPS, even though somebody has done a 43k DPS build with the Warden. And it's a Magicka DPS build. But it can't be done. You can't get any better than 28k, but somebody's already done it. So, when people tell me that certain things can't be done, it just takes time for somebody to master the build, and master the rotation, and master all the stuff. So, a lot of these changes that they've been making to the game really are just balance changes to balance out the classes, and not to balance them to be equalized, but to balance them against each other, so that way they're on equal footing to some degree. Now, I'm not saying that every change they make is perfect, but it's a nice thought that they do put in the time to do this kind of stuff. So, they increase the damage of this ability in this Morse by approximately 67%. And this is on the Dawn's Wraith Eclipse. They increase the cooldown, on it. The damage can occur to 750 milliseconds. The damage of this ability can no longer be blocked. The damage of this ability can now occur on the first tick of any damage over time ability. So that's actually kind of a neat thing that it's doing this. We'll have to see, though, how well it works. See, Solar Barrage. This morph can now be grants Empower buff after every tick of damage instead of only when you initially cast it. So this is a cast over time ability, so the Empower buff is kind of nice, but unless you cast something immediately afterwards, it's better to use the Mage's Guild. Use the Mage's Guild ability. Because that's going to give you 100% guarantee you're going to get empowered. This is, oh, we're going to cast an ability and have it apply way later. So, restoring light, healing ritual, reducing. Why even reduce the time? I mean, 0.3 seconds, you won't even notice anything. If it was like, oh, we're gonna reduce the cast time to 0.5 seconds from 1.5. Then I could say something about it, but there's still a cast time to it, so it's not going to be something that's going to be a viable option in, say, trials. But in dungeons, yeah, we'll see. Cleansing Ritual, increase the cost of this ability and its morphs by approximately 14%. They even explain it down here. This is basically to make it to where people aren't like spam casting this to remove debuffs on themselves, because you see this a lot in PvP with the Magicka Wardens and stuff running around. They're constantly casting this ability to remove debuffs and stuff applied to them. A lot of tanks in PvP use this ability to remove debuffs and other things. A lot of people don't realize the synergy from this does that as well, which is kind of funny, because even if you use the synergy, it doesn't remove the heal over time. It just removes the abilities or whatever. It stops the heal over time, but it doesn't stop the remaining tick. Like if somebody uses it right as it ticks, you will still get another tick of healing from it. So, moving on, weapon stuff, acid spray. They increase the duration of the damage over time applied by this to 6 seconds from 5, causing it to tick for 1 additional instance of damage. Here's the thing about this. Applying a 1 more second tick of damage isn't going to make acid spray any better than it already is. It's not going to make it any worse. It'll improve it by a very small margin. And honestly, the next one that they did for arrow spray, increasing the duration of the snare applied to it to this ability and force to 6 seconds from 5, is a better change than this up here. And the reason I say this is a better change is because anything that you can apply to somebody that causes them to break free or use their CC immunity or something like that is a good option. Because you're forcing them to use their stamina or whatever to break free. You're causing them to use that resource. A lot of people don't put any points into the break free, even in PvP. And if they do, it's very small. So this is going to be a good change for arrow spray. You might see more use of it in PvP, but I highly doubt it. Destruction Staff, Elemental Storm. They reduce the damage of this ability you'd have to change this by 30% to make it a viable thing, or more. 12% isn't going to make it. It's still too powerful. In PvP standards, this is way too powerful still. In PvE, it didn't even hurt. It didn't even phase it. 12% reduced damage, you won't even really. It'll still be what everybody's going to use. Heavy armor skill, immovable. Reduce the cost of this ability and its force by approximately 5%. I gotta show you guys this. This ability basically costs about 5k. When you divide this by 5%, you're only saving 250 stamina. Unless you can reduce the cost of this ability by a greater amount than that, I mean, yeah, they make it look good and sound good on paper, but until you can actually apply it, immovable will still always be the thing for a tank to go for, like a Nightblade tank, mainly. Or somebody running medium armor, but they can't use that now because it's a heavy armor only ability. So it's really not an option for certain things. Now, it will be good for some builds, but not all builds. And just like all these changes, they're going to be very specific to certain build types, certain play styles, things like that. But a lot of these changes aren't enough to change anything, really. Not here. Not with these. But there are some coming up. This one here reverted the champion's passive values back to 15% at 100 point cost, but now it reduces all resources restore effects on the enemy. This includes potions, item sets, and passives. This is going to make this a go-to for a lot of PvPers. Not in a big way, because you can still outdo the resource return like by 50-60% depending on your class, race, combo kind of thing. So we don't really get that much, but the fact that it's going to hurt the other resource returns, like health, stamina, like if you're a magic player, your stamina return, if you're a stamina player, your magic return, that's where this ability is really going to shine. Other than that, it's not going to shine very well. And it's just going to make it, It's a nice offer, though, Combat fixes, really, none of these are really like, oh, this is the only change that actually is fixing anything, and that's just PvP related. A lot of this other stuff is just balance, or game fixes that needed to happen. This one for sure. Alright, this is where things get a little questionable. Chaotic Wind. Increase the duration of the whirlwind adds to your Twin Slash's lacerate Blade Cloak over time effects up to 12 seconds from 10. That's a bigger change than what we had before. And this will make rotations with this really simple. You just drop Twin Slash's Blade Cloak, hit your whirlwind, boom. And this will last for 20 seconds on Twin Slashes, 20 plus seconds on Blade Cloak. And if you are running lacerate, then you're going to get another 12 seconds added to it. It's going to make an easy rotation, basically. Is it going to be a good set to use? Still questionable. Got some testing to do, and I'm going to be doing some testing to find out. But by just looking at it, I can say that yes, that's a good change, because now it makes rotations on certain builds, really easy. Because you're just basically going to be applying Twin Slashes, Blade Cloak, doing a whirlwind, and then automatically going into your bow rotation, switching back, Twin Slashes, your light attack rotation. But you're not going to be doing Twin Slashes every rotation. Now you're going to be applying Twin Slashes and Blade Cloak every second rotation on Twin Slashes, and every third rotation on Blade Cloak. So that means you're going to be just switching bars to apply certain things and going right back to the bow and applying more of those. So this makes certain bow builds with dual wield more of a manageable rotation thing than others. Clever Alchemist, this item set's proc now requires you to be in combat for it to function. This is a good change for PvP, but it's not enough to make it stand out, really. It just means people are not going to be using Clever Alchemist set as often. Destructive Impact. They increase this item set's cost reduction for Destructive Touch to 30% from 12%, and increase the bonus damage of its direct damage to 2k from 1500. If you guys don't know what this staff is, this is the Master Destructive Staff. And basically before they were like, oh, we did this, hey, guess what, it's going to be better. And everyone kind of laughed at it. Now people are going to see this and go, wait, you're telling me I can cast Destructive Touch 30% cheaper and increase its direct damage by 2k versus 1500. Whatever weapon damage this had before on there, they just gave it back. And they didn't give it back in a small instrumental way. They gave it back in a big chunk way. On top of that, the reduced cost of 30%. Destructive Touch might be a high cost skill, but giving us the reduced cost by 30%, and on top of that, the direct damage bonus, and you add the on top of that 30%, the 10 or 14% you're getting from light armor, and the other 4% you might be getting from worm cult, or even seducers, and you're seeing a greater amount of cost reduction on the Destructive Touch, making it a very, 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 this Destructive Impact set from the Master set being something that's going to be highly, highly wanted for people in PvP. Because that's a very powerful set. I'm sorry, it is. Just numbers. Looking at the numbers, you can tell. Piercing Spray. Increase the duration of the debuff applied to 6 seconds from 5. Ain't going to make a big difference, but the extra second might help with rotations. But it's still not, you know, it's still just, it's not great, but it's still an option. So, Shadow of the Mountain, just a stupid fix. Should have been in there in the first place. This item sets the Timeless Blessing. Now, this is a big one. Timeless Blessing, the item set now causes Blessing and Protection to reduce the cost of all healing abilities by 30% for 3 seconds. The imperfect version by 27 for 3 seconds. In 3 seconds, you can cast 3 healing abilities at a reduced cost of 30% after casting your combat prayer. This makes this staff almost the I want staff. And even at 27% reduced cost, I'd much rather have that for now until I can get that 30%. Now, why is this such a good thing? It's only 3 seconds. You can do a heavy attack in 2 seconds. That's going to give you major mending for 3 seconds. You hit that, you drop your Blessing Protection, and all your abilities after that are going to be 30% cheaper and 25% more healing effectiveness. That's going to make this staff the go-to staff for all healers. Everyone thought, oh, 256 stamina to give back to my allies is really good. If I heal 3 of them, they get, 600, magic or stamina back, or 800. Yeah, but I can save more resources this way. It's an interesting thing. It might be too OP, in my opinion. Next one, the Titanic Cleave. This is the Master Two-Hander. This item set now increases the direct damage cleave deals by 1500 for each enemy in its cone, up to a maximum of 9,000 increased damage. So basically what they're saying is on the initial hit, it's going to give you up to 9,000 increased damage on a 9,000 point damage ability already. That's 18k. So that's a very large increase in damage. And I can see this becoming like the Maelstrom bow is for some people. This is going to become the Maelstrom bow of PvP. Lots of good changes, but some too OP'd. They made some of these sets too overpowered. Regardless of what many might think, a 30% cost reduction of Destructive Touch is really high, especially in PvP, considering it's a highly used ability there. The fact that its direct damage is going to be increased by another 2,000 points when this thing can crit for up to 12 to 15. You add another 2k on top of that. That's a lot of damage. And that's what you're going to give a Sork? Ouch. Or even a Magicka DK? Or even a Magicka Warden. That's a lot of damage. All these things here are going to change a lot of things. Except for this. This is nothing. This is just a fix. But a lot of this other stuff can make or change a lot of stuff. This one not so much, and this one not so much, but the rest of them most definitely. Alright, moving on down. Destructive Impact fixed the typo, okay. Mad Tinker fixed the issue where the monster set now scales off global damage bonuses, so champion points, other things. Might make this set a pretty good one to go with if you're a Magicka DPS. The cast time on it's kind of horrible, but it's the fact that it does offer that is kind of the fact that it's going to be using your champion system now might make the Mad Tinker a go-to set, especially if you're running like used to running a monster set, but you want to run one of these staves now. You can run one of those staves, the Mad Tinker set, which is going to be like running a monster set, and it's going to be like running what is it called? The Juliana set, just without the 299 spell damage. Instead, it's going to give you 12k shock damage. That's just a lot of power right there. Some other minor fixes and stuff. Item set animations, like exploration, itemization, the automaton gem, all that kind of stuff. But here's the big changes, guys. The transmutation stuff. All these changes here to the transmutation that they've been doing. People have been complaining on the forums that it's going to take like months or weeks even to get your transmutation to the crystals. Well, it should. It's an option outside of farming. You run your dailies, you get your chances on those days to get the items you're looking for. When you don't run them on those days, you still have the option of getting the geodes. And those geodes can give you a lot in return. We're talking 4 to 5 crystals on some things, and even more. Standardized the different geode names. There are now transmutation geodes which give a set amount of crystals, and uncracked transmutation geodes which give a random amount of crystals. The higher a geode's quality, the more crystals it will provide. This right here is what I'm talking about. The fact that they standardized how the different geodes work. The next one where it says transmutation geodes can no longer be opened if you have a maximum number of transmutation crystals. That means you can literally stack these in your inventory and just let them build. Now, whether or not they consume 1 space per geode, or if each type of geode stacks, is going to make or break this transmutation system. They should make them all stack together with their respective name titles, because if they don't, we're going to end up with inventories full of just these geodes. And nobody's going to want to hold on to a bunch of geodes for transmutation, especially when they have their gear sets totally finalized. This is just going to take up inventory space. People are just going to start chucking them. Good idea in premise, but in reality, unless they make them stackable, they're worthless. I mean, they're good to keep, but I'm saying it's worthless to have like 30 of these things sitting in your inventory, taking them 30 slots, when you're going to be using those 30 slots for something else. Just some other minor changes and stuff. The transmutation stuff I'm happy with. I like this change. You know, the weekly veteran and normal trial modes, giving 5 transmutation crystals up from 4. Transmutation geodes awarded from dungeons and leaderboard placement are now 5 transmutation crystals up from 4. This one's up from 7 days, is now up to 10 transmutation crystals up from 4. And then the 30-day campaigns are up to 50 crystals up from 40. This is incentive to want to win in Cyrodiil. In my case, I'm not a big Cyrodiil fan. I kind of like it, but I'm not a huge fan. But this makes me want to think about doing it more often, because I want my faction to win. And I will always want my faction to win because of having a chance of getting those 50 geodes. On top of that, being able to get up to 25 crystals from an uncracked transmutation geo awarded by Rewards of the Worthy. You can get roughly about 10 to 20 of these playing in a 7-day campaign with no problem. Just go and capture keeps. And that can be good and it can be bad at the same time. I'm not sure if I really like that, but it's definitely something. And the fact that you can get up to 25 is going to make a huge, huge deal. People are going to be farming transmutation crystals in Cyrodiil, trust me. Other than that, that's it for the changes. Like I said, a lot of it's just basically class changes, balances, and it's not even class changes, it's just class balancing. To make some classes stand out, look a little bit better than what they normally were, maybe try to make them a more viable option for different aspects of the game like PvP or PvE. But people will always find their way, and they will always find the best builds based on number crunching, things like that. So regardless if I do it or somebody else does it, somebody is going to wind up making a build with all these different things involved. And they're going to make it work really well. And it's kind of going to be scary to see what people can pull out with some of these changes. Other than that, not a lot of it's going to change or affect the meta to a full, major degree, except for maybe the Master Maelstrom changes. And that's going to be limited to builds anyways. So... but that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I know I seem kind of down and stuff. I've got a really bad head cold coming on, and it's been keeping me out of the limelight, pretty much. I don't know if it's head cold or if it's allergies, but it's one or the other. But we're having a kind of a strange season right now, going into winter here in the desert. A lot more drier and humid, or not humid, drier and warm than what we're usually at this time of year. So it's throwing my allergies out of whack, and it's definitely not helping with this head cold thing. So, but yeah, I'm excited. We're getting it on the 23rd. I did kind of call this. I said 5 weeks after the launch of the beta, and that was PTS, which was the 25th was when it started, I believe. And I said it was going to be sometime around the 23rd, the 30th, or the 6th. And that's because we're getting near that time. We got one more week for one more PTS patch, and then it'll go live on the 23rd. Kind of an interesting thing. I will definitely be picking this up the day it comes out, though, because I like it. I think it's a good addition to the game. I love the story. I think it really they did a really good job of incorporating something that we haven't seen in previous Elder Scrolls games, except for like minor stuff in Morrowind, which didn't really cover too much of the Clockwork City, but it was involved in it. And the fact that they're incorporating the actual Clockwork City into the game now, and we're going to be able to go there, and we're going to be able to deal with the people, the citizens, and all that, and the story that's going on there, really says that the devs are trying to branch the game further into the lore, the history, that kind of stuff. So, kind of excited for that. Let me know what you guys think. Have a comment section for a reason, so please feel free to use it. I try to reply to as many comments as I can. There is times where I don't, and it's not because I don't want to or anything like that. It's just that sometimes somebody says something I can just agree with, and there's no point in saying anything. A lot of the times I agree. You know, I put down my thoughts of what people say, and, you know, I don't try to be rude or harsh, but sometimes I might sound that way. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below about the release date, about the patch notes. I'm sorry, like I said, I'm a day late. It's not feeling too good. But I am still trying to push out some videos and stuff. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Other than that, go ahead and hit the like button if you guys want to enjoy the video. If you guys want to see more videos about me, hit the subscribe button. Other than, you know, whatever. I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day in the sky. We'll see you all later. Bye.